to the third edition of Prime Wrestling. This is Tuesday Night Prime here on Prime Video. Let's get straight into the action, though, waste no time. We're again trying with the format and the layout of how we're producing shows, so please stick with us. Ringside, we are ringside here as Mauro Ranallo and JBL open the show. We see Mauro Ranallo and JBL sitting at ringside. The duo introduce us and welcome us to Tuesday Night Prime for this action-packed show. Basically, just your traditional show opening here. We got popularity throughout, so we're going to continue here. In the first match of the evening, we have Chris Sabin getting the victory. This is a 4-star match, all right? A 4-star match between the Motor City Machine Guns and the Hawks, Luke Hawks and PJ Hawks. Coming over from the reality of wrestling. The father and son duo here take the loss against the Motor City Machine Guns, but I picked them up on a whim, and you know what? I'll be completely honest. They're a low-card act, but it looks like they can go a little bit. A 4-star match. Everybody loves some Prime Wrestling, it appears. And, yeah, the Motor City Machine Guns get a victory here tonight. 73% overall. After the match, after defeating the Hawks, we get Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin basically celebrating 63%. Again, it says they're talking. This stuff right here, you're going to have to stick with me on. The Pro Wrestling Sim doesn't have a ton of different options for segments. You can't really change this stuff, so it is what it is. They're not really talking, but they are celebrating post-match 63%. All right, next up, we see Nia making her backstage entrance to the ring. She's in action next, and yeah, Nia Jax, a.k.a. Nia, she's signed here with Prime Wrestling, a 93% overall. This is fantastic. 93 for Nia. Let's see how she does against Chris Statlander here, as you can see on the left, coming up next. And the crowd was red hot for a 2.5-star match. We have Nia getting the victory via pinfall over Chris Statlander. Nia, good popularity bumps throughout. Even Chris Statlander in defeat got a good couple bumps here. Took a couple decreases, but did take a couple bumps. So 2.5, 65-star for Nia. Let's continue on. As we continue, she's going to be in the ring, hyping herself up like, yeah, I just won. I'm Nia Jax, if you will. 72% overall. She's declared the winner, and she's going ahead and celebrating her victory. All right, next up, we have Hype as Dave Bautista debuts tonight against Breezes. Remember, 70% overall. Remember, Prime Wrestling has the money, so we have a lot of guys, Kurt Angle, Dave Bautista, to name a couple, that will be in the promotion who are, not too big, quote-unquote, for wrestling, but, I mean, is it worth their time? Prime Wrestling is definitely going to financially make it worth their time, and we're going to have some fun booking these guys. It's going to be 100% overall. Dave Bautista will be taking on Breezes. Breezes and Dango is how they go, apparently, on the indie scene. We may change Breezes and Dango back to just Breeze and Dango. I don't know. I'm not a fan of the Breezes name, so it may just be Breeze as of next week, but Breeze and Dango, in the segment as well. Batista will be taking on him later coming up here. Next up, we have Private Party in the backstage talking to the Motor City Machine Guns. I got a 79. The camera finds out Private Party, the Prime Wrestling World Tag Team Champions, in the back talking to Shelley and Sabin. Cassie says, oh yeah, congratulations on the big win tonight. Thanks, guys. So a couple of face tag teams just congratulating each other. Chris Sabin goes to speak, however, the lights are going to go ahead and shift off, and this time you can hear things moving around in the dark, much like last week. As the lights come back on, the Motor City Machine Guns remain untouched, where both Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Coyne of Private Party have been laid out cold. The Motor City Machine Guns look around and call for help. So, Private Party champions laid out in the back. Machine Guns are back there. What does it mean? Who knows? 79%. Well, I know, but you guys don't. We'll get to it. 79%. All right, next up, we have Dave Bautista defeating Breezes in a 2.5-star match, 72 overall score, 5-minute match. Again, the minutes are going to be what they're going to be via pinfall, whatever. They're going to be probably longer matches, as this is the 2-hour card. So your squash matches will typically be 5 minutes, not your 1 minute here on Prime Wrestling. But 2.5-star, Dave Bautista making his return to professional wrestling with a victory, 2.5-star victory. All right, next we see Braun Strowman backstage as he just watched the end of the Breeze Batista match, showing strong competition. So he's kind of nodding, Braun playing the babyface here, not upset. And again, we changed it from Adam Scherr, as we talked about last edition, to Braun. Just as Braun watched the end of the match, he nods. Braun turns around. The major players, Chelsea Green with Brian Myers and Matt Cardona, walk up. Brian Myers says, Braun, what do you want? Asked Braun. Last time I saw you guys, you were both running away and getting counted out. Remember, Braun took on Myers last week. Myers, after being thrown out of the ring, decided it was probably in his best interest to not continue the match. The major players just laugh. Cardona then says, hey, Brian could have pinned you if he wanted. Braun says, how about we run it back then next week, boys? Cardona, Brian would love that. says Cardona, basically volunteering him. The camera forcing a what the fuck look from Brian Myers. Braun says, sounds good, and I will see you next week. So Braun walks away. Brian simply smacks Cardona across the chest as they play it off. So Cardona volunteering Myers for a rematch next week. Should be good. 83 overall. Brian Myers says Braun had a good match last week. We'll see if they can do it again next week. All right, next up, we get the main event hype where we're going to see Rey Mysterio Jr., your Prime Wrestling World Champion, taking on Johnny Prime 100. So I'm expecting a fantastic match, a banger, as the kids say, 100% overall. All right, next up, we're going to get Laredo Kid taking on Bully Ray, in which Bully Ray wins. 4-star match. Absolutely fantastic match. Bully Ray can go a little bit. Decent wrestling, great psychology. Laredo Kid bumped all around for him. Bully Ray with a win, 76% overall. Laredo Kid will be lower on our card, have some good, matches on the low end of the card, but he's a really good wrestler I can put against good professional wrestlers who are a little bit over. So 4-star match here. Bully Ray with the victory over Laredo Kid. As you guys continue watching the series, more wrestlers will continue to debut. Post-match, we have Bully Ray celebrating as Jon Moxley interrupts. The bell sounds, and Moxley shows up on the ramp. Moxley, after what happened in Tuesday Night Prime last week, is in no shape to wait it out as he begins to slowly start jogging towards the ring. Bully doesn't wait as the two meet in the middle, and just as they begin to touch, officials are running out to separate them, not really getting started. So whatever happened in the show last week, it's not over between the two or Logan Paul. 88% overall as the two were just barking at each other in the ring. All right, next up we see Lexi Kaufman backstage. The fans cheer as she shows up on the camera as fellow co-workers, the Bella Twins, who showed up during her match last week, at the end of her match on the ramp last week against Victoria AF. The Bellatons congratulate Lexi on her win last week, again against our good friend Victoria AF. The Bellas look Lexi up and down before leaving her alone. Sketchy. So, the star power of the Bella Twins and Kaufman added, that's great. It's an 86 overall, which is fantastic for the ladies. So, yeah, Lexi Kaufman beating Victoria AF last week in the backstage area. The Bellas walk up and they kind of look her up and down and size her up a little bit. All right, next up, we're going to get the entrances of Rey Mysterio and Johnny Prime, a 93 and a 100. The entrance of Johnny Prime added a lot. The star power of Johnny Prime added a lot. So a 93 and a 100 here to a 97 overall. And let's go ahead and get to the main event. The main event is going to see Rey Mysterio Jr., your Prime Wrestling World Champion, defeat Johnny Prime. 4.5-star match, 84 overall, our best match yet. By aiming to steal the show, the workers up their ring action, which, not surprised. After the match, though, the bell sounds and he's handed his championship. As Johnny Prime is getting up, he walks up to Rey Mysterio Jr. and nods, extending his hand. A couple of baby faces congratulating one another as the lights, though, do go out. Moments later, we see Rey Mysterio out cold, and Johnny Prime, who's made his way to the corner during the blackout, he has the Prime Wrestling World Championship laid at his feet, or around his feet, if you will. As the fans erupt in boos, the assumption and the proclamation being that Johnny Prime has just taken out Rey Mysterio, and the show ends with an emphasis on that. So Johnny Prime is like, bro, I didn't touch Rey Mysterio, but the lights and the belt tell a different story. We also saw, spoiler, obviously the stuff with Private Party, so something's going on here in Prime Wrestling with all these blackouts. We're really not sure what's going on yet, but we're going to get to it. We're going to end the show here. I'm hoping for at least a 75 overall. We're going to get an 86 overall. Now, obviously, Pro Wrestling Sim, as I'm finding, is a little more basic and a little more controllable sans TEW, but I kind of like it for the simplicity's sake. If you want to really dive into a deep game, probably TEW is your way to go, but Pro Wrestling Sim is very fun, and I'm really enjoying it so far, having running through this for a second time through. But until next time, it is me, Mikey Bro, wishing you a glorious rest of your day, and thanks for tuning in and watching the 3rd edition of Tuesday Night Prime. See you next time, guys.